one of the interesting things over the weekend, we had an opportunity to watch some things unfold with respect to our commemoration of September 11th, and obviously the Quran burning didn't take place, and there were demonstrations for and against the proposed building of the Islamic Center, and so many things occurred, and it just was an interesting weekend. But it continues to just highlight where our country is today. There is so many divisions, and it's unfortunate because you know, after the election of President Obama, we thought that there would be a sort of a coming together of our nation, but there are individuals who absolutely abhor the idea of there being one United States of America. The haves and the have-nots continues to be a reality in this country of ours, and it is really, really unfortunate. I will suggest to you that there can be something done about that. And I think a good place to start is dealing with the idea of denying folks an opportunity to find employment based upon credit history. I was reading an article by Luis Gutierrez, Representative Luis Gutierrez, Congressman out of Illinois, and it's just a fascinating piece. The problem is getting worse. 43.4 million people, 1 in 4 Americans, have credit scores that mark them as poor credit risks for lenders, and now this may affect their job prospects too. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the percentage of consumers with collections on their credit reports has doubled in the past decade.
Our state is going through a very tough recession, and we don't want people who have battled that recession, who are living from check to check every month, to be harmed when it comes to getting employed. And that's why today the bill I'm signing, I think it's a very important consumer and worker protection bill, will not allow employers to use credit score to decide whether or not somebody is going to get a job or somebody is going to get a promotion. I think that those who have done their level best to pay their bills in the course of this recession, which has been a very difficult one. I think everybody in our country knows that Wall Street let America down. President Bush, frankly, asleep at the switch when it came to regulating Wall Street several years ago. Wall Street ran the American economy into the ditch and caused great harm and travail for ordinary people in our state and every state.
I can't tell you how many constituents have come to me in the last couple of years and said, I lost my job, I'm having trouble paying my bills. Some months I pay my rent, some months I don't. I'm behind on my mortgage. I haven't paid my electric bill. If you lose your job and your credit is damaged as a result, and if employers use your credit to prevent you from getting a job, this is a vicious cycle that folks will never get out of. So this bill strikes an appropriate balance. It says as a general principle, employers can't use your credit history, your credit score, in determining whether or not to hire you or promote you. At the same time, it provides to those employers who have a legitimate need to look at an applicant's credit history the ability to do so. So we worked very hard with business interests, with consumer advocates, with folks representing workers to strike that balance. And I think the final product represents that. It will protect hundreds and thousands of folks who are looking for a job, who have some blemish on their credit record, to get a job without employers looking at this when they don't have a rational basis for doing so. But we'll still be able to protect those employers who have a need to protect confidential information for the folks that they do business with. So
we cannot allow folks who are doing their level best to be discriminated against with respect to getting a job or keeping a job. And unfortunately, some employers are using credit score of an individual person to decide whether someone gets hired or someone gets retained on a job or someone gets a promotion on that job.
It is just fascinating to be in a position to to not have a job, to seek a job, and then to have you turned down for a job because of your credit history. Let's take the case of Deborah Banks, a woman from Hawthorne, California, who has been looking for a job for over a year. Deborah has years of experience, stellar references, and a certificate in accounting. However, she has been rejected from several jobs due to her credit report that lists a series of medical bills that are in dispute. She was even denied a temporary job she had previously held and performed with distinction because the employer had since adopted a credit check history. Deborah is not alone. 60% of personal bankruptcies are linked to medical debt. Are these people really less likely to do their jobs well? Credit checks in employment are also reinforced patterns of discrimination in American society. According to one Texas study, African Americans and Latinos have credit scores that are 5% to 35% lower than those of whites, due in part to predatory lending, foreclosures, unequal education opportunities, and the historical wealth divide. This means that when employers check credit, Latinos and African Americans are usually starting with a deficit and are put at a disadvantage, raising serious civil rights concerns, creating a permanent underclass. That's what we have here. Now, I want to go back to this issue of character, because the point that Gutierrez is raising is employers are justifying using credit score because they supposedly measure one's character. I will tell you, if you define character as, qualities that form the individual nature of a person, I would tell you the person with good character, the person who perhaps has poor credit, these are the individuals that are showing up to work. These are the individuals, persons with poor credit, who question their character. These are the individuals that will be taking the overtime as much as they can to support their family, to put food on their tables. These are your loyal employees whose credit may have been besmirched because of situations outside of their control. These are the individuals that avail themselves to overtime, that avail themselves to time and a half and will stay that extra hour so that the job can get done. Why? Because they are trying to improve their lot in life. Those are the individuals. These are the people that are taking the trains. They are taking the buses to work. They are riding their bicycles to work. No, they're not driving Lexuses. They're not driving BMWs. These are the individuals. We're talking about the poor. We're talking about lower middle class. We're talking about people who are just trying to survive. Riding the bus at 5:30 in the morning to get to a job 30 and 40 and 50 miles outside of where they live. And then they're asked, without question, without argument, they are asked to stay an extra hour, despite the fact that they might even miss their bus to get back home. Why? Because they are trying to improve their lot in life. And because someone with a subjective view of some numbers on a paper trying to suggest a person who has solid credit, that somehow their character is in question. And we already know that the Bernie Madoffs of the world are the individuals who will launch campaigns to steal and destroy the lives of thousands of people. And they are the people with excellent credit. They are the people who are the upper crust of society. And yet the individuals who are riding the bus and train to work are the ones who are looked down upon when they are walking into a job interview, hoping and praying that this is the time that they might get a job so that they can support their families. We're talking about a wealth divide in this country. class warfare, maintaining a wealth gap. Individuals who are just trying to feed their families, working long hours. And I want you to understand this. Those individuals, I have to, look, here you have a situation where people who, through no fault of their own, their job closes down. We're going to paint a picture for those of you who are in the HR departments, those of you who are deciding applicants. We're going to paint a picture for you. Individuals whose job may have closed down through no fault of their own. They don't own the company. And so they find themselves in a situation where they go on unemployment for a certain period of time. And during and following unemployment guidelines, they're out there looking for work. And so they are filling out the job applications. They are sending in the resumes. They are going to job interviews despite the fact that they're probably borrowing money to put gas in their car. And week after week, month after month, day after day, they find themselves not being able to find employment. And then an opportunity arises. And they go on these job interviews. And they're presenting themselves, and they're doing the right things, wearing the right clothes, articulating well, and they, having a good conversation. They walk out feeling good. They've done something. They've fulfilled their obligation. And then suddenly, letter comes in the mail. Thank you for attending the meeting. Thank you for filling out the application, for sending in the resume, but we respectfully decline at this moment. And this is happening across the board. And in the meantime, bills are not getting paid. And so you have a situation where if that individual who perhaps worked at a job for 10 and 15 years, or maybe even 2 years, they've been loyal employees, going to work on time and doing what they're required to do. And so they have a credit card, 2 credit cards, maybe 3 credit cards. But they're paying on time because their job is paying. And they're doing what they're required to do. And suddenly they find themselves in a situation where the job closed down. They don't have enough money to meet their monthly responsibility, despite every effort on the planet. And then the credit card companies, for whatever reason, jack up the hidden fees, the overdraft fees, the over-limit fees. And then for whatever reason, the interest rates goes up. And then they find themselves in a situation where suddenly they can't make those bills. And then that report shows up and the job is being denied. That is what's happening, folks. That is what's happening. We all need to be sensitive to what is going on out here. Because I can honestly tell you, people are suffering.
Seth Doan, CBS News, Elkhart.
And this is what is happening all across the country. So if credit checks reinforce discrimination, don't accurately measure financial responsibility, and don't dependably predict job performance, why are so many employers using them? The answer is not altogether clear, but we do know that the multi-billion-dollar companies that create and sell credit reports are heavily invested in marketing them to wider and wider audiences. This includes insurance companies, hospitals, landlords, and now employers. This is big business. Selling credit reports, taking advantage of those individuals who are down on their luck through no fault of their own.